his days are pushed till tomorrow, depending on when he wants to call it a quit. A Ghanaian superstar and an award-winning superstar. He has done more than 100 movies. He's an actor that an upcoming actress or actor can learn something from. He has featured in more than 100 movies. He has won awards locally and internationally. Today on my show, The Business of Entertainment, is Adjettey Anang. Welcome to the show, Mr. Adjettey.
Thank you very much.
I hope you're doing well.
I'm great. I mean, anybody who is in your company will feel great, wouldn't they?
Great. So, in preparation of making this interview a success, we came across something. You do not have a Facebook fan page. Why?
Well, I used to have a Facebook fan page, but series of impersonations, got me off Facebook. There was one incident where somebody had impersonated me and I duped an African-born, Ghanaian-born American. And she had subsequently informed the police about it. Of course, she thought it was me. And so the cyber crime department at the police headquarters invited me in to help them, assist them, to investigate it. But finally, they tracked some young students in a school I don't want to mention. But so it kept going on, and I was like, look, let me take a breather for now until such time I'm able to really manage that account. Yeah.
Okay. You are one of those who have enjoyed stardom before social media platforms emerged.
Okay.
So what I want to ask is, how can a star or celebrity blend these two phases to remain relevant like you are?
Well, I think that, from my past, what I've learned is that, people who are in the limelight, so to speak, when we talk of passion, it's not just having a script and letting us feel the passion in your performance and your voice. That is also needed. But ultimately, beyond, the camera, and performance, what are you doing, when there's no camera? You redirect that passion into researching into the field, into various characters and people that you admire still in your field. I mean, it's a consistent read. You have to read, keep on reading, on reading, and it's the beauty of it is that you pick up things that you even thought that you knew, and there's some that you're like, oh, I never knew this. So reading, especially focusing on your field, because there's so many things that we can read on and things that we can learn about, and I think that that's one of the key things. I think the other is how we carry ourselves, because whether we like it or not, people down the streets, anywhere that we go, people might take us as, their role models, every now and then somebody is going to ask you, oh, can you mentor me and all that, so beyond, the expertise on the screen that you deliver over and over again, what kind of personality are you, and what kind of, impact are you going to leave on somebody's life? I mean, I know there are people who've been accused that anytime they open their mouths, you have to wear bulletproof because, fireworks are...
I know, right?
So, how are we being very careful that even the words that we speak out are very kind, are very noble, etc. So it's I mean, this are just to mention a few of the things that you can rely on to stay relevant. Yeah.
Okay. So tell us from your resource point, how can a young actor or actress scale through the hurdles of social media pressures so he or she can last over 20 years like you?
You make me feel very old. So look, it's today's social media, the kind of pressure it places on us is enormous, even when you have your own objectives, that can be a challenge because, the world is going in a certain direction and you feel that you're being left out. But I think that there are certain principles that you have to stick to when it comes to social media. I mean, first of all, the purpose of you being on social media, are you using that to your advantage, or you're projecting something that is not really the main, as it were, your main dream? I think that first and foremost, any artist out there should use a platform to his or her advantage. And so for most cases, as we've seen, we're already projecting our movies, our stories, sometimes stories behind the characters that we play,
Right.
even sending messages out there about characterization, about how we played a certain role for young people to also learn from. And so how you use that platform, to your advantage to sort of project what you do is key. Sometimes most people, deviate a bit. I mean, it is good that you also create awareness about your personal, beyond the screen, who really are you, and that is good. But if the main focus is for, is consistent to just, this is me, I look good every time, then we'll be wasting much more time. But there's so many things that we haven't explored with the platform that we have, and I think that it's a blessing time for us. I remember way back, we didn't have that.
Yes.
So it was really tough.
I know.
So I think there's a blessing that, but depending on how you use it. So we really need, sometimes I think that we don't seek information, and people will think that, oh, social media platform, I can do whatever I want. But I think that seek advice from the experts, those who are the social media gurus, on how to use that platform to project what you do and add more, as it were, revenue to whatever you're doing.
I know the social media is not easy at all. I see a lot of girls, a lot of guys, like they buy followers, they buy likes, and they buy the verification. People want to do crazy things to always trend.
I know.
Do you think it's a good thing for them to buy followers, likes?
Well, it also depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you're using the platform solely because of business,
Right.
then it makes sense, as long as it's within the laws. You're not breaking any rules or laws, as it were, and you're using that to project, yours to sell even your product, or even your movies or whatever. I think that business wise, it forms within the law that you can do that. It's not as if you're stealing, and so. With that aspect, I think that is okay. But if the motivation behind it is just so that we're seen as very popular with the populace, then I think that we'll be deceiving ourselves.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. Let me take you back to the days of Things We Do for Love. That was a starting point for
That's
you.
right.
What steps would any young actor need to take to remain consistent in this field?
I think that there's definitely, you must have talent. I mean, and talent is your natural skill. What people say that you came to the earth with.
Right.
that you don't have to learn necessarily. You don't have to go to this classroom to know the flair with which somebody can take a pencil and draw somebody who hasn't been to a school that is specific to art. You must have that talent for performance, for acting. And that's a gift. But then the other combination is that what makes it a winning formula is that you need a training, some skill in that direction. Now, when you have that two going, then it's a winning formula,
Right.
because you walk down the street, there's so many people who have talent, so many, but the only thing is that there are those that are unpolished, so what the skill, the training and education does is that it polishes your talent and it projects it even more. But if you rely on one, then there's this much that you can do. Maybe your height is way further.
Right.
So I think that for me is one. And also our relevance in terms of what impact are we having on society.
Right.
I think that beyond the fact that this is our professions, our career, we need to make ends meet by what we do. I think that there's also the need for us to make sure that we're leaving a certain legacy that will strengthen our industry with the next generation. But if we're just being a bit selfish, just thinking of here and now and us alone, then it wouldn't get better.
Right.
When you go back into our histories of nations, there are people who have laid down their lives, sacrificed for greater causes. And I think that we who are projected into people's houses should be in a position to really do something every now and then, that we're laying a certain foundation that it will be if our times, today's time is not that good, it would be greater for the next generation, because we're giving birth to children, and some of them will definitely find themselves in the industry. I mean, are we going to give them a better platform, or is it going to be the same or worse? So these are some of the things that we should ponder over, I believe.
That's a lot. I know you've been to a lot of acting schools, I've heard. And in making plans for this interview, I've really read a lot about him. That's nice. So, with over 100 movies to your name, multiple awards, and so on, you still remain humble. Take us through the hurdles of what it takes or means to be famous, rich, humble as an actor.
It's very, this industry of ours, it's very easy for us to more or less feel like demigods,
Yeah.
because and not it's not simply because of our own attitudes, but it's just how people relate to us. I mean, you go into a certain space and everybody's admiring you, and the smiles on their faces, they want you close, they want to be in your company, take selfies, etc. And it's consistent, and therefore you feel as if you're very. Sometimes it can get into your head a bit, and feel as if you seem to be a better human being than the other. You can easily get there. I mean, I once in a while I go to fast food joints and there's a long queue, and the lady at the counter is like drawing my attention. I should bring my order. I'm like, look, there's a long queue. I said, oh, come on, bring it. And
so nice.
I mean, in my own, personally, I'll feel very, very nervous. But then the people in the queue are like, oh, just go and give me your order, kind of thing. It feels cool. It feels, I mean, but then it can easily get into your head. And the humility part is that always remember that, they have a role to play in your build-up and makeup. If we're going to be nasty to our fans out there, people who actually patronize our works. I mean, can you imagine if they go on strike and they're like, whatever we put on there they've not even gone on strike and things are even tougher. But even people are trying to do that, and what it will mean is that producers are not going to make the money they're going to make, and then therefore they're not going to produce movies that would also engage some of us. And so essentially we need to hold them as like very, very valuable. And no matter how they look, no matter their class, we shouldn't look from top to down to see whether they fit to be in a picture with us, or they're just human beings who express genuine love. And also, we should also be in a position to be able to take on criticisms. Of course, some of the criticism that comes our way are not all factual. Some of them are just people talking from ignorance.
Right.
But I think that when we retort back in a certain light, then we're not teaching them how to go about some of these things that they get wrong. And I think that we should be very, very, we must have a big heart, and we play roles, we play roles of people who are pushed to the edge, and they learn how to be resilient and be tolerant. And so we can project that, sometimes it means that act in real life, not to be nasty to someone out there. So, I mean, a few and a combination of some of these things are things that we need to have, on the edge of our fingertips, so that we become relevant and staying humble always.
I know you're very humble. I've heard so many things about you, how you're always on time. When they say it's 11, you even get there by 10:30, and then everybody like, oh, I was late, the star is here. That's so nice. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Right. So you do both stage and screen.
That's right.
What is the hardest circumstance that you have had in your career?
So it takes me back to theater stage. And as you know, I mean, theater, it's you have a live audience, everything has to be here and now. And I remember one particular performance, and actually it contributed into building me up, where I thought that, and as I said, we're human beings. Sometimes we're tested by by what we do. And I remember there was this production that we did. We had already done it at the School of Performing Arts. And so the final year student, master student, she wanted to take it to the public, because it was for, when we did it at the School of Performing Arts, it was to satisfy an academic purpose. She was being assessed and marked. And it made so much noise on campus. Then she realized, oh, let's take it to the National Theatre. And National Theatre then was like how, how it was like maybe the French people in Ivory Coast, Togo, going to Paris. That was like their Paris. And for us, it was London.
Yes,
I mean, that was the World Cup stage. So it was a big deal for us. Of course, I've done the performance over and over again with some professionals, the late Godwin Kote, David Dontos. I mean, a whole lot of casting there.
Right.
And practically, we need to get to backstage at least 2 hours. And that's the rule. That's what we're taught. And there's a reason behind that, because you're going to fit into another character, and there are things that you need to shed off from wherever you're from. People come bringing all sorts of energies. You've been upset at home, you're coming to the theater. You need to shed that thing off and then get into another character. Otherwise, the emotions will contradict, and you may not project your best out there. So there are technical reasons why we should, obey these instructions. But of course, Adjettey Anang is now up and coming. And I can learn lines faster than even some of the David Dontos and things like that. I was feeling cool. So the professionals go backstage. It gets backstage, I mean, way ahead, 2 hours. And I decide to come in about 10 minutes to production starts, because I know my lines. I've done the thing over and over again. What's the big deal? And then I also have when the production starts, I come in 20 minutes later. I mean, I'm the producer. After 20 minutes, I make my first entrance. Okay. So I have the luxury of, relaxing.
Yeah.
So that was the big deal. So I come in, I go backstage, I take my costume, I go relax in the waiting room there, and I fall asleep. And
how? And your friends were on stage working. Like,
yeah, I mean, after 20 minutes, man, I can relax. That was what I was thinking.
You fell asleep.
And, when you come backstage, when you see these professionals, I mean, when they get backstage, is ready to go, nobody talks to anybody. The stage manager is not even backstage. He's in there with the director, because everybody knows their cues. Nobody's going to tell you, hey, it's your time to go. Because for us, it was theory and practice, because most of us were still in school, and some of them had graduated. And so then when I make my entrance, Gordon Quinte is the only one on stage. And so the last character had passed. Now, where's Adjettey? They didn't even realize backstage. It was the stage manager who came backstage and said, where's Adjettey? Then they started looking for me. They checked the costume room, and I was there asleep. And so they woke me up. And then I started. I'm like, I'm waiting for you, Then I dashed. I ran onto the stage. When I got there, I looked at the audience, I looked at Godwin Kote, and I got stuck. And Godwin's back is facing me.
Yeah.
And I bring news. If I don't speak, Godwin takes his cue from me. Whatever that Godwin says will not make sense. And we're doing a text, a Wole Soyinka script. You don't change the lines. Because he has a style, and if you have to seek permission, and we're sticking to that. So he can't do anything about it.
He was just standing there.
It felt like 2 years, and I couldn't remember anything. I had gone blank. So Godwin sensed it, because over and over again when we play, when he hears footsteps, he knows that I'm going to come in my lines, and then we're going to continue. But you're like, no sound, nothing. So he broke a rule by coming towards me and then passing behind me as if he hadn't even noticed me. And when he came behind me, then he whispered my line. I didn't hear it because I was still
confused.
Then he has to make another move. He can't keep going back and forth, because now it's going to look very... Somebody's going to realize that something is wrong.
Yes.
So the last time he was passing, he said the line again. Then I remembered something, and then I was able to say my line. But then from that point to the end, I was never the same again, because in my mind I was like, damn it, of all the places to mess up, the World Cup stage. I mean, Premier League, we can mess up, but everybody's going to say, oh, this Adjettey Anang, this 9-day wonder, look at him, he's messed up. The director's going to be fuming, So it really taught me a good lesson that, no matter how you think that you have arrived, or there are still things that you need to check, to respect, because the rules are there to protect you. The rules are there to make you better. Yeah. And I learned a lesson that day, that no matter what, I'll still stick to those rules. And, that has saved me a lot of times. Yeah.
I don't even know what to say, but that was serious.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, what about screen?
Screen? A couple of them. But I think that screen, I've been fortunate. I've not really had any I think that yes. What I did have was actually when we were rehearsing before the shoot.
Okay.
And it was a bit of an action sequence.
Okay.
And so I strained. I had a disc shift at my back.
Okay.
So when I bent down, I couldn't come up. It was excruciating. It was one of the painful things I've ever experienced. And so they kind of held me and put me down. But eventually I went to the hospital. They had to stop shoot and wait for me to heal. I think it took about 2 weeks. And I had this therapy, infrared lights, and all that at the hospital. But that was one of the, my worst times on set.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
What are some of the challenges you face in your field, like on set? Like, let's say about the food, water, times people get to set and all those things.
Right. I think that for the most part, I think that our response to time has always been an issue. I mean, it cuts across mostly. I mean, there are a few exceptions, but for most of the productions that I've gone on, respect to time has been rather poor, and I think that it doesn't help us all, because if somebody, a young producer comes up and he wants to, he has a timeline of finishing production in 2 weeks, for example, and each time there's a call time, shoot is probably between 7 a.m. and by 7 p.m. we've wrapped, and the divas or the champions are going to come in 1.
Yeah.
Then what it means is that you have to carry forward some scenes to the following day. It affects the other. And then 2 weeks now becomes 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
That's cost implications for the producer, because most of the equipments are being hired, or at least if you have you own your own equipment, you're going to provide them with food, you have to increase more, transportation, blah blah blah. It goes into his cost, and when that happens, then he can't even make the returns back, and it doesn't work out well for business.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that we need to really help in adjusting, and let's be respectful with time. Then I think that how we even carry ourselves on set, I think that, look, one of the things that eats us up is this other strength that we have as a people, and as Ghanaians. I mean, we're taught it over as very friendly, and sometimes it can even get annoying. People are so friendly, can get annoyed.
I know.
But let's look at the positive sides. People are so friendly. People want to engage, to tete-a-tete here and there, talk about the events of the day. But I think that when it's time for business, we should know where to draw the lines. But I think that sometimes we overstretch it, even when people are in character. The moment the scene is done, they know we're back to talking about some political issue, back to talking about
football.
It's not professional. I think that allow people to stay in their character. And the annoying part is that after talking all the politics, when it's time to shoot, then their emotions are all over the place.
The lines are off.
The lines are off because it's concentration. You're in the shoes of a character that you don't play every day, so you need a certain focus. All these distractions are not necessary, so we don't really get to that height that we all want to see. And I think that these are some of the little things that we take for granted, and affects our composure. It even takes away energy from us when we engage in those things. There's time for everything. Once there's a break, then we can go into the all shoot is over. Man, we see each other every now and then. So a few of the things that can really make an impact if we take them seriously.
Okay. You have won so many awards for lead roles you have played in across Africa. When do you dream going to Hollywood?
Well, it's... You definitely have a dream, but I mean, I still want to make the best of what's come. I have now. Fortunately, I've had opportunities to play some movies from those parts. Currently, I'm even going on a tour with a Black Canadian movie called Hero.
Wow.
That was partly shot here and out there. And so for me, I take it as it comes. I still think that sometimes maybe I would have wished that maybe I had that opportunity already, but you never know. Maybe I'm still getting prepared for a bigger thing. But I still think that I'm not wasting my time. There's so many things that we haven't even explored, even in our region.
Okay.
And look, business side, I think that we've just scratched the surface, and so there are a lot of things that we need to put right and not necessarily, be focused on going to Hollywood, because sometimes you ask yourself, am I prepared when that opportunity comes enough? How well am I prepared that when today I have an opportunity, how am I well baked to do? Have I really done the studies that I need to do? The research that I need to do, because sometimes when we rush so much and we have the opportunity and when we don't deliver, then that opportunity may never come again, because then it's like, oh, he couldn't, so still keep the dream going on, but prepare yourself, as it were, for an opportunity. So let's see what happens. I have no idea, but if it never happens as well, I'm still going to make the African dream come true.
Yeah. Okay, your level of dedication to work is on high, I mean, like very, very high. What are some of the steps you always take to keep this dedication going on?
Well, I think that as far as our work is concerned, one of the things that I think about is, maybe in a couple number of years, I'd also want to produce, and I ask myself, if I were at the receiving end, how would I take on, this present, maybe a combination of attitudes and indiscipline, etc. So let me give all my best, so that when it's my time, I would also get that in return. Okay. So I'm always careful that I don't create problems for you, the producer, and make your work easier, so that we can have that, rapport and good relationship going, which would ultimately affect the quality of the production that we're working on. And also the fact that, look, it just pays to give of your best at all times. I've had certain opportunities that are actually, let me tell you the truth. I've in certain years, I make much more money outside film. And I know people who reach out to me is because of the film platform.
Right.
Okay. But the business that I do, the kind of income I get sometimes way outweighs what I need paid on, when I do a number of movies.
Right.
So it has a reflection on the other things, and not necessarily because I'm an actor, then it has to be film that's going to give me my bucks,
Right.
So I think that we should, one of the things is how do we project ourselves? How do we, more or less saying that do to your neighbor what you want your neighbor to do to you, and that has been some of the things that has really kept me going. Yeah.
Right. Having worked with so many directors, have you been choosy on who you want to work with or not?
No, I haven't. I haven't, gotten to that yet. I think that, of course, you would have some directors that you'd always want to love to work with, right, over and over again.
Okay.
But it doesn't, it doesn't give me that. Not for want of a better word, I was going to use audacity. No, but it doesn't make me want to. Okay, who are you? I have to know you before I work with you. I think that for the most part, we have a content that we're working with. Definitely, I'll feel a bit uncomfortable if somebody just walks up and says he also wants to shoot a movie because he has capital, and he knows nothing about directing, and he wants to direct. I may not, perform unless I can see that he has a gift. Now, don't get me wrong. I have worked with people who haven't been in the classroom,
right,
ever, as far as the specific field is concerned, but they're brilliant. I've worked with a few people who did not go to school to learn about directing, but their interpretation was brilliant. And so when you get that sense of, of course, it's going to be an interaction and etc. And I get a sense that, you have something in there. I'm going to work with you. I'm not going to ask you what kind of degree you have, what kind of master's. After all, people who have masters and stuff want to do some of the outrageous things. Some of them even so rubbish, you wonder what did you go to school for? You know, so it's for me, as long as you have something in there and there's some passion even in there, why not? I worked with a young guy who was a nurse who wanted to do a movie. We worked together in Kumasi, and it was brilliant, you know. And so, yeah, I people have things on their heart that they want to tell, and I think that the best I can do is to help them tell it.
Okay, that's great. Many of your colleagues have produced their own films. Why is it that you haven't produced yours yet?
I've produced one. I've co-produced one. It wasn't for public consumption. It was for the International Organization for Migration. It was an arm of the UN. It was basically, the subject was to tackle the issue of migration, you know, because now I think it's a bit toned down, but it's still there. And so we actually did this for them, for their work and use. But I'm still a bit hesitant in producing quickly, because I'm building a foundation now. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I want to, when I produce, that it has to be something that takes us to another level, as it were, because, you know, we need to encourage one another, that the next producer who comes in takes us to an even higher ground, so that we would have a chain of growth. So I'm learning what I need to learn. I don't even assume that I know how to direct or I know how to produce, because there's certain basic technical things that I think that when we input into our work, it would make it tick, you know. And so I'm taking my time and preparing. But
hold on that. Focus is the main thing in the industry. Do I sense that you are scared, or you are thinking that when you produce, you lose focus on acting?
Oh, no. And what I'm saying is that I don't have the expertise yet to be a great producer, because I don't want to just a producer. I want to be a great producer, even if it's one movie.
You should make it.
Yeah, you know, so for me, there's certain things that I don't have, I lack, and I'm trying to learn and prepare. Not necessarily go to school, but read, but talk to producers. And if there are things that I need to learn, why not? Yeah.
Okay, how would you encourage a young actor or a fellow colleague to continue acting, especially in Ghana, where the take-home pay is not good to take home?
I really understand that. It's really a tough thing, you know, because the examples that we have, practical examples that we have, where people, you know, there's a sense of struggle. I mean, when we look at some of our older generation who have actually left this world with virtually nothing. You know, not even a motorbike to even say that, oh, this is what I got from acting. It's really sad and heart-wrenching. And so when you look at all these evidences and you want to just encourage someone, it's tough to do that. But, you know, yeah, don't give up on that dream and that passion that you have. I would say that, go for it. Yes, you have to use your head too, in that, you know, where the stage where, for now, maybe acting may not necessarily be the only thing that you should focus and throw everything into. That's it. They don't throw your eggs in one basket. Have something on the side that you're doing. And when you've built yourself, you're solid, then you can give that push in there. But don't give it up, because every now and then we have a new generation who come up, who will take us to another level. Steady research, learn from other people. Sometimes it's watching somebody and learning their strengths and their weakness, and making their weakness your strengths. You know, just observing people. That's learning. Learning is not just going to the classroom. You know, observe people, learn, and use that, you know, in your own way. So yeah, don't lose that passion. Keep it up.
Oh God, that's interesting. That's all for now. Really? And I would say a very big thank you for coming onto the Business of Entertainment with Kisa.